Srimad Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, Yoga of Knowledge. Sanjaya Uvacha Tam Tatha Kripaya Vishtam Ashrupurnakula Ekshanam Visidantam Idam Vakyam Uvacha Madhusudana. Sanjaya said to him who was thus overcome with pity and whose eyes were full of tears and bore a bewildered look, Sri Krishna spoke as follows. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Kutatva Kasmalam Idam Visame Samupastitam Anarjajastam Asvargyam Akirtikaram Arjuna. The blessed Lord said, O Arjuna, whence has this loathsome stupidity come upon you in this crisis? Yet this attitude is unworthy of a noble personage. It is a bar to heaven and a cause of much disrepute. Klaibhyam masmagamaha parthanaitatvaye upapadyate kshudram hridaya daurbhalyam tyaktva uttishta param tapa. O Partha, yield not to unmanliness. It befits thee not. Abandoning this base faint-heartedness, rise up, O dreaded hero. Arjuna Uvacha Katam Bhishmam Aham Sankhye Dronam cha Madhusudana Ishubhi Pratiyotsyami Pujarha Arisuddhana. Arjuna said, O Krishna, how can I attack Bhishma and Drona in battle with my arrows? They are indeed worth of worship. O destroyer of foes, Gurun ahatvahi mahanubhavan shreyo bhoktum bhaikshama apihaloke hatvarta kamasutu guruhu ih aiva bhanjaniya bhogan rudhira pradigdhan. It is indeed better to live here in this world on a beggar's fare than to prosper by killing these vulnerable teachers. The enjoyment of pleasure and power obtained through the slaughter of these teachers and elders will surely be bloodstained. Nachaitad vidma kataran no garyo yadva jayemo yadivano jayeyu. Yan eva hatva na jijivitsamaste vastita pramukhe dhartarashtraha. We do not know which of these alternatives will be better. The one that we should conquer them or the other that they should conquer us. The men on the side of Dhritarashtra standing arrayed against us are the very people after killing whom we should not care to live. Karpanyados opahata svabhava pachamitvam dharma samuddacheta chachehya syan nishchitam buhitam me shishyasteham sadhimam tvam prapannam. My natural disposition is mediated by a sense of pity, and my mind is in utter confusion regarding my duty. Lord, I beg thee, tell me with certainty what will lead to my good. I am thy disciple. Instruct me, who have taken refuge in thee. Nahi prapasyami mam apanudyat yachokam uchchosanam indriyanam avyapya bhumau asapatnam riddham rajyam suranam api chadipatyam. I do not find anything that can assuage this grief which numbs my senses. Neither the unchallenged lordship over a prosperous knowledge nor even the overlordship of all the devas can do so. Sanjaya Uvacha Evam Uktva Hrishikesham Gudakesha Param Tapa. Nayotsya iti govindam uktva tusnim babuvaha. Sanjaya said, addressing Sri Krishna, the master of the senses, Arjuna, though valorous and vigilant, said, I will not fight, and sat silent. Tam uvacha Hrishikesha prahassan iva bharata senayor ubayor madhye visidantam idam vacha. O king, to him who was thus sitting grief stricken between the two armies, instead of fighting, Sri Krishna said as if by way of ridicule, Sri Bhagavan Uvacha, Asocyan Anavasocha Tvam Prajnavadam Sacha Bhavasase Gat Asun Agat Asumscha Na Anusochanti Pandita. The blessed Lord said, you are mourning for those who should not be mourned for. Yet you speak like a wise man. The truly wise never weep either for the dead or for the living. Natve ham jatu nasam natvam na eme jan adipaha na chaivana bhavishyama sarve vayam ataparam. Never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor these rulers of men, nor shall all of us cease to be hereafter. Dehinosmin yata dehe kaumaram yauvanam jara tata dehantara praptir dhriras tatrana muhyati. Even as the attainment of childhood, youth and old age is to one in this physical life, so is the change to another body for the embodied soul. Wise men are not deluded by this. Matrasparsastu kaunteya chitosna sukha dukkadaha agam appayino nitya tam stiti sashva bharata. Contact of the senses with their objects generates cold and heat, pleasure and pain. They come and go, being impermanent. Bear with them patiently, O scion of Bharata race. Yamahina vyata yanti ete purusham purus arpasava samadukha sukham dhiram somrattatvaya kalpate. O leader of men, that enlightened one who is unperturbed alike in pleasure and pain, whom these do not distress, he indeed is worthy of immorality. Na sato vidyate bhavo, na abhavo vidyate satah. Ubayor api drishtotnas taiva anyos tattva darshibihi. The unreal can never come into existence, and the real can never cease to be. The wise philosophers have known the truth about these categories of the real and the unreal. Avinashi tutad vidhi yena sarvam idam tatam vinasham avyayasya asya na kachit karatum karhati. Know that reality by which everything is pervaded to be indestructible. No one can cause the destruction of this immutable being. Antavanta ime deha nityasyokta saririna anasino prameshyasya tasmad yudhyasya bharata. What is said to perish are these bodies in which the imperishable and unlimited spirit is embodied. Therefore, fight, O scion of the Bharata race. Ya enam vetti hantaram yaschainam manyate hatam. Ubhautau na vijanto tayam hantina hanyate. He who thinks himself to be the killer and who experiences him the self as the killed, both of them know not. heed. Self neither kills nor is killed. Na jayate mriyate va kadachin. Nayam bhutava bhavita vana bhuya. Ajo nitya sasvatoyam purano na hanyate hanya mane sarire. This self has neither birth nor death, nor does he cease to be, having been in existence before, unborn, eternal, permanent, and primeval. He is never killed when the body is killed. Veda avinasinam nityam ya enam ajam avyayam. Katham sapurusa pardakam gathayati hantikam. O Arjuna, know this self to be eternal, undecaying, birthless, and indestructible. A person who knows him to be so, whom can he slay or cause another to slay? Vasamsi jirnani yata vihaya navani grihanati naro parani tatha sarirani vihaya jirnani yani samyati navani dehi. Just as a man gives up old garments and puts on new ones, so the embodied self abandons decrepit bodies and assumes new ones. Nainam chidanti sastrani nainam dahanti pavaka na chainam kledayanti apona sosayati maruta. Him the weapon cleave not, him the fire burns not, him the waters wet not, him the wind dries not. Achedyoyam adahyoyam akledyo sosya evacha nitya sarvagata sthano achaloyam sanatana. He cannot be cut or burnt. He can neither be wetted nor dried. Eternal, all-pervading, immovable and motionless. He is the same forever. Avyaktoyam achintyoyam avikaryoyam uchyate tasmat evam viditva evam ainam na anusochitam arhasi. Knowing him the self to be unmanifest, inconceivable and unmodifiable, it is improper to mourn for him. Ata chainam nityajatam nityam va manasye manyase vritam tatapi tvam mahabaho nainam sochitam arhasi. In the alternative, even if you hold him, the self, to be subject to constant births and deaths, there is no justification. O mighty armed for your mourning for him, jatasya hi dhruvo mrityu dhruvam janma mrityasya cha tasmad apariharyerthe na tvam sochitam arhasi. For the born, death is unavoidable, and for the dead, birth is sure to take place. Therefore, in a situation that is inevitable, there is no justification for you to grieve. Avyakta adini bhutani vyakta madhyani bharata avyakta nidhanaya eva tatraka paridevana. Mystery surrounds the origin of beings. Mysterious too is their end. Only in the interim between birth and death are they manifested clearly. Such being the case, what is there to grieve about? Ascharyavat pasyati kaschit enam ascharyavad vadati tat aiva chanya ascharyavad chainam anya shrunoti Shrutvapi enam vedanaschaiva kaschit. Some have a glimpse of him as marvel. Some speak of him as a marvel, and yet others hear of him as a marvel. Yet none understands him in truth. In spite of seeing, speaking, and hearing about him, Dehi Nityam Avyadhoyam देहे सर्वस्य भारत तस्मात् सर्वाणि भूतानि न त्वं शोचितुम् arhasi. At no time can the spirit embodied in all beings be slain. Therefore, there is no reason for you to grieve for anyone. Swadharmam apiche vekshya na vaikyam putum arhasi dharmayadhi yadochhreyonyat kshatriyasya na vidyate. Further, even from the point of view of one's own duty, you ought not to falter. There is no greater good for Kshatriya than what a righteous war offers. Yadrachaya upapannam swargadvaram apavratam sukina kshatriya parda labhante yuddham idrisham. O Arjuna, that Kshatriya must indeed be a happy man to whom comes unsought a war like this, which is an open gate to heaven. Atachetvam imam dharmayam sangramam na karisyasi. Tata swadharmam kirtim cha hritva papam avapsyasi. If you do not take part in this righteous war, you will incur sin, besides failing in your duty and forfeiting your reputation. Akirtim chapi bhutani kata yishyanti te vyayam sambhavavitasya chakirtir maranat atirichyati. Besides, everyone speaks ill of you for all the time. More poignant than death is disrepute to a man accustomed to be honored by all. Bhayadranad uparatam namasyante tvam maharatha yesham chatvam bahumato bhutva yasyasi laghavam. The great car warriors will consider you as having fled from battle out of fear, and you who have been the object of their respect will be despised by them hereafter. Avachyavadamscha bahunvadisyantitav ahita nindantastava samadhyam tato dukkha taram nukim. Your enemies will indulge in derogatory speeches against you, belittling your prowess. What is more painful than that? Hato prapsyasi swargam jitva bhokshase mahim tasmad uttishta kaunteya yuddhaya kriti nishchaya. O son of Kunti, if killed in battle, you will attain heaven. If victorious, you will enjoy the kingdom. Therefore, arise, resolve to fight. Sukha dukkhe samakritve labha jaya ajayo tato yuddhaye yushyasya naivam papam avapyasi. Treating alike pleasure and pain, gain or loss, victory and defeat, be ready for battle. Thus you will not incur any sin. Eshate bihiti sankhye buddhir yoge vimam shrinu buddhaya yukto yaya pata karma bandham prahasyasi. O Arjuna, what has been declared to you in the truth according to the Sankhya, the path of knowledge. Listen now to the teaching of yoga, the path of selfless action combined with devotion, by practicing which the bondage of karma is overcome. Ne abhikrama nasosti pratyavayo na vidyate swalpam apisya dharmasya triyate maho bhavat. In this path of yoga, the path of selfless action combined with devotion, no effect is lost due to incompleteness and no contrary effect of an adverse nature is produced due to failures. Even a little observance of this discipline saves one from great fear. व्यवसाय आत्मिका बुद्धिर एकैः कुरु नंदन बहुसखा है अनंतश्च बुद्धयो व्यवसायान्यम. O Arjuna, in this following this path, the buddhi, the understanding that has the nature of producing conviction, is directed towards a single objective. In those without any spiritual conviction, the understanding gets scattered and pursues countless ends. Yam imam puspitam vacham pravadhanti avipaschiti vedavada rata pata nanyad astiti vadinam. Kam atmana swargapara janma karma phala pradam kriya vishesha bahulam bhoga aishwarya gatim prati bhoga aishwarya prasaktanam te teyapahrata chetasam vyavasayatmika buddhi samadhauna vidyate. O Arjuna, there are people who delight in the eulogistic statements of the Vedas and argue that the purport of the Vedas consists in these and nothing else. They are full of worldly desires. Paradise is their highest goal, and they are totally blind in a spiritual sense. They expatiate upon those florid Vedic texts which describe the means for the attainment of pleasure and power, which provide attractive embodiments as the fruits of actions and which are full of descriptions of rites and rituals through which these fulfillments are obtained. In the minds of these votaries of pleasure and power, addicted to enjoyments of the above description, steadfast wisdom, capable of revealing the truth, is never generated. Traigunya visyasa veda nistraigunya bhavarjuna nidvandvo nitya sattvasto niryogakshema atmavan. O Arjuna, the Vedas deal with material ends, but you established in the spirit, in the immutable purity of it, having abandoned all material values, attachment to possessions, and concern with the contraries of life like pleasure and pain, heat and cold. Yavan ardha udhapane sarvata samplut odake tavan sarveshu vedeshu brahmanasya vijanata. What use a pond has got when a whole country is flooded? That much of use only the Veda has got to a Brahmana who is full of wisdom. Karmanyeva adhikarasate ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phala hetur bhurmate sangostvar akarmani. To work alone you have competence and not to claim their fruits. Let not the longings for fruits be the motive force of your action. At the same time, let not this attitude confirm you in indolent inaction. Yogastha kuru karmani sangam tyaktva dhananjaya. Siddhi asiddho samo bhutva samatvam yogachuta. Engage yourself in action with the mind steadfast in yoga. Abandon attachments, O Arjuna, and be unperturbed in success and failure. This unperturbed sameness in all conditions is yoga. Durena haivaram karma buddhi yoga dhananjaya buddhau saranam anvicha kripana phala hetava. O Arjuna, mere action with attachment is far inferior to action done with the mind poised in evenness. Seek shelter in the state of unperturbed evenness, which can arise only in a desireless mind in communion with the divine. Those who work for selfish gains are indeed pitiable. Buddhi yukto jahatiha ubhe suktra दुष्कृते तस्माद् योगाय युज्यसा yoga karmasu kausalam. One endowed with this unperturbed evenness of mind abandons the effects of both good and bad actions, even here itself. Therefore, strive for this state of yoga. Yoga is skill in action. Karmajam buddhiyuktam hi phalam tattva manisina janma bandha vinirmukta padam gachanti anamayam. Wise men establish thus in unperturbed evenness of mind, abandon the fruits of action, free themselves from enlightenment, cycle of births and deaths, and attain to the state of freedom from all the sorrow, the liberation. Yadete moha kalilam buddhir vyatitarasyati tadagantashi nirvedam shrutavsya shrutasya cha. When you have overcome the delusions of your understanding sprung from self-centered attachment, then you attain to a state of indifference towards all the past experience and others yet to be had. Shruti vipratipannate yada sastasyati nischala samadhava achala buddhi tada yogam avasyasi. When your intellect, fed up with the bewildering scriptural doctrines and their interpretations, settles finally in steady and unwavering introspection, then you will attain to real yoga. Arjuna Uvacha Sthita Prajnasya Bhasa Samadhistastva Keshava Sthitadi Kim Prabhaseta Kim Ashita Vrajeta Kim. Arjuna said, O Keshava, what are the signs of a person who attained to steady wisdom and deep introspection? How does he speak? How does he sit? How does he walk? How does he behave in life generally? Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Prajahati Yadakaman Sarvan Pardha Manogatan Atmanyeva Manatusta Stita Prajnasi Tadochyate. The blessed Lord said, O son of Partha, when all the desires of the heart have been abandoned and the spirit finds joyous satisfaction in itself without dependence on any external factor, then in one spoken of as a person of a steady wisdom, Dukkeshva Anubhigna Mana Sukheshu Vigathaspraha Vidharaga Bhaya Krodha Sthitadhir Unir Uchyate, whose mind is not agitated in adversity, who is free from desire and who is devoid of attachments, fear and anger. Such a person is called a sage of steady wisdom. Yeah, Sarvatra Anabhisneshahas Tat Tat Prapya Subh Asubham Nabha Abhinandati na dvesti tasya prajna pratistita. Whoever is without self-centered affection for anything, who rejoices not in favorable situations and hates not in unfavorable ones, such a person's wisdom is firmly set. Yada samharate chayam kurmo gnani va sarvasah Indriyani Indriyarte Bhyas Tasya Prajna Pratishtita. When a person can withdraw his senses from their objects just like the tortoise its limbs on all sides, his wisdom is firmly set. Vishaya Vinivartante Niraharasya Dehina Rasavarjam Rasopyasya Param Drashto Nivartate. From the abstinent soul, sense objects fall away, but not the taste for them. Then the supreme truth is realized. Even the taste departs. Yatato hi api kaunteya purushasya vipachyastiha indriyani pramathini haranti prasabha mana. Intelligent, O son of Kunti, the unturbulent senses do violently draw away the mind of even a discerning person who is earnestly striving on the spiritual path. Tani sarvani samyamya yukta asati matpara vasehi yasyendriyani tasya prajna pratishtita. Having controlled them all, one should become entirely devoted to me. He whose senses are under control, his wisdom is firmly set. Dhyayato Vishayan Pumsa Sanghastevsu Pujyate Sangat Samajyate Kama Kamat Krodho Vijayate. In one who dwells longingly on sense objects, and inclination towards them is generated. This inclination develops into desire, and desire begets anger. Krodhat bhavati samudmaha sammohat smriti vibrama smriti brahmsad buddhinashat pranasyati. Anger generates delusion, and delusion results in loss of memory. Loss of memory brings about the destruction of discriminative intelligence, and loss of discriminative intelligence spells ruin to a man. Ragadvesha viyuktaistu visayan indriyaischaran atma vasyed vidye atma prasadam adigachati. A man of disciplined mind who has his senses under control and who has neither attraction nor aversion for some sense objects attains tranquility. Though he may be moving amidst objects of the senses. Prasade sarva dukkhanam hanir asyo pajayate prasanna chetaso hyashu buddhi parya vatistate. On attaining tranquility, all one's sorrows come to an end. For soon does the intellect for a tranquil person become steady. Nasti buddhir ayuktasya nachyuktasya bhavana nachabhava yata santi asanastasya kuta sukhyam. A man of uncontrolled senses has no spiritual comprehension. He has no capacity for meditation either. For the unmeditative there is no peace. And where is happiness for one without peace of mind? Indriyanam hi charatam yanamano nuvidyate tadasya harati prajnam vayur navam ivam bhasi. The senses are naturally disposed to move towards their objects. Whichever of these senses the mind pursues, that sense carries away that mind as a gale does a ship on the high seas. Tasmad yasya mahabaho nigrithani sarvasa indriyani indriya arthebhyas tasya prajna pratishtitha. Therefore, O mighty Arjuna, he who can completely restrain his senses from pursuing their objects has his wisdom firmly set. Ya nisha sarva bhutanam tasyam jagarti samyami yasyam jagaritva jagrati bhutani shanisha pasyato mune. What is like night to all ignorant beings? To that Atman consciousness, the self-controlled sage is awake, and the sensate life to which all ignorant beings are awake. That is like night to this illuminated stage. Apuryam manam achala pratistham samudram apa pravisanti yadvat tadvat kamayam pravisanti sarve sa santim apnoti na kama kami. He into whom objects of desire enter, unsought and causing no perturbation, even like the ocean that is ever being filled by the rivers but still remains steady within its bounds. Such a person attains to peace, not he who runs madly after objects of desire. Vihaya kama yah sarvan pumam charite nihisprisa nirmano nirahankara Santim adhigachati. Whoever has abundant desires and moves about without attachment and the sense of I and mine, he attains to peace. Esha Brahmi Stitik Partha Nainam Prapya Vimuhyati Stitvasyam Antakalepi Brahma Nirvanam Rachati. This, O son of Partha, is the state of dwelling in Brahman. Having attained it, one is no more deluded. By abiding in that state, even by the time of death, one is united with Brahman. Yoga of knowledge completed. Jai Shri Krishna.